Welcome, baseball fans, to Baseball as Intended, episode 5. We got a good one, I feel like, today. We got some spring training. It's officially started. We officially got our
Yes.
first few games with the pitch timer. We'll talk about that. We got Machado signing. We talked a little bit about Machado, talking about his contract and all that. I guess it worked. We'll talk about that. And then our first division preview. We're going to go ahead and start from the AL West. We're going to move from the West all the way to the East Coast. So excited about that. Some good teams in the AL West. But John, good evening. How you doing?
Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. The fight, the Jake Paul Tommy Fury fight just ended. Any initial
Yes.
thoughts on that?
I loved it. I mean, I don't know if everyone knows we love boxing, and we're one of the few people that likes boxing that said Jake Paul was actually like pretty decent. And he did lose. I expected him to lose. I know I'm over 2 on my predictions, but I did say Fury would beat him. But the way Fury was celebrating after tells me that it was like a life or death fight for him. As in, like, he knew, because if you just handle business as usual, I mean, the guy was jumping around like he won the undisputed championship. Like he was Rocky in the Rocky movie.
He was crying.
And,
Literally
he was
crying.
literally crying.
Yes.
Yeah. So that tells me that that was not business as usual. I thought it was a fun fight, to be honest with
Fun
you.
little fight. I thought it was very interesting leading up to the fight. Like, I have no idea what's going to happen, but I always thought that Jake Paul could handle or could hang with Tommy Fury, because Tommy Fury, again, his brother's the champion. It's not him. He had like a few
Right.
fights. He never looked anything special. His opponents didn't look special. So I was like, it's going to be an interesting fight. That's the guy that, you know, Jake Paul have been wanting and targeting since day one for a reason. But it was an, entertaining fight. That's what they
It
do.
was a good step up fight, probably for both of them.
Yeah.
Like they were evenly matched. I mean, I don't think the rematch is like foregone conclusion that Fury would beat him. Like it's one of those fights. Like it was good, but
The
I like
odds,
it. I
the
think Paul
odds,
did good.
yeah, I think the odds in a rematch will be the flip flopped. Like,
Yes.
Tommy Fury might be like 160 and instead of plus 160 or whatever. So, but
He should have
still
been
good.
favored this fight.
100%.
He should have been. Yeah, people got a little carried away. But
I mean, people were putting money on Jake Paul, and that's why the odds probably
Right.
flipped. But
yeah,
you
they're
know.
like, we loved him in Disney, so we're gonna love him in this.
yeah,
But I think it's a good story. Like if Jake Paul were a little more likable, I know you like him, but if he were a little more likable, this would be a very heartwarming story of like, put your mind to it, you can do it. You know, everyone hates him, but it's still pretty impressive.
he's a problem child for a reason. He has this persona, YouTuber. I'll be the bad guy. He doesn't care, but I think it's cool. Like, boxing have been like, it's been kind of dead, for a
Yes.
few years. All this stuff, like, it's entertaining. At the end of the day, it's entertainment. So I'm there for it. So sign me up.
Loved it.
Talking about entertaining and entertainment, spring training is off, and it's off, and good stuff has happened. We had basically a walk-off walk-off pitch timer.
Is that good stuff?
Oh,
Is
it's
that
amazing.
Good stuff.
Honestly,
Okay.
I feel like, for those that don't know, the Red Sox were playing the Braves, tied at 6, bottom of the ninth. There's no extra innings in spring training. The hitter wasn't ready. They have to be ready at 8 seconds. And ready, I mean, looking at the pitcher, he wasn't looking at the pitcher. So he got called for a strike. He struck out. That game ended. Honestly, I feel like people are just, my initial thoughts is that people are just going crazy over it. Players will make adjustments. And it was literally day one of this. People and players will make adjustments. It was the right call. We're not going to be defending umpires a whole lot in this show, but it was the right call. So props to the umpire who made the call. But yeah, I think people are just going to, is making it a bigger deal than what it is.
People took it very personal. Like their team just lost the World Series based on that call. I think MLB told the umpires, this is spring training. People have to know these rules are for real. You get in a spot like that, call it. You know what I mean? That's how you establish like this is a real thing. Now, that did make me realize that down the road, I think at some point there's going to be something where you get a couple of those a game, like almost like challenge flag. You're not challenging it, but they aren't going to decide the World Series based on that. So everyone who's freaking out, just relax because they won't. but it was a way of them to establish like this is for real. We're not just gonna have it there and you can ignore the clock and all that. And it's good. I mean, we
They
love it. We're on board with it.
they
It was
had
funny.
to. Yeah, they had to. And I think like eventually umpires will give other players and in the games people will know like, hey, they're giving us an extra second or two, not necessarily take advantage, but don't feel
Right.
rushed. For me, games didn't feel rushed. But it was 2.5 hour games. Like games were flying
Great.
by, and I actually tweeted out how, before if you were 30 minutes late to a game, you might miss the top half of the first inning. If you're 30 minutes late to the game, you might miss a third of the game. Now, they're
Yes.
flying by. Obviously, spring training, not a whole lot of approach at the plate. They're being more aggressive. Pitchers are just kind of like coming at the hitters with, attacking them with fastballs down the middle. But I love the pace. I love that he's faster, and players will adjust. So I'm not worried about that part.
Yeah, and some players are going to have to adjust more than others. I mean, I saw something today. Scherzer had a 3-pitch strikeout, and I think it took 27 seconds.
Love it.
Yeah, which he's probably like, this is the best rule ever. Like, I've been doing this my whole career and waiting on hitters. But yeah, I don't think, like you said, it's nothing to be concerned about because this is not really, they're not changing baseball. This is just implemented to speed the game up, which I think is perfect. But it adds another level of spring training because we're seeing, usually you're seeing all the normal stuff, guys getting ready, roster battles, all that. And now it's like, okay, pretty significant rule change that we're getting to watch happen in real time. And it's perfect. This is the time to get used to it.
I mean, we've been talking about the rule changes for months, so this is the first time that we've been able to see it at the major league level. So I think that's why we're excited to see it in spring training, tuning into the games. I know obviously the diehard fans are going to tune into the games regardless, but the casual fans might be like, let me watch the spring training games and see what happens. So they got to see that. They there's mixed. I feel like people are either they hate it or they love it. There's not a whole lot of in between. But I think at the end of the day, once they see players adjust, I think it'll be fine. And it was implemented for a reason. Players were taking advantage of it. It was too long sometimes. So I'm okay with that. One thing I liked was also and we've talked about this, the shift. And I think it's going to have a big impact. I saw Matt Olson get a base hit through the between first and second base.
Like, just like I said, you
there
guys.
it is. There it is, because it would have been an out last year, right? So I think we're gonna see some lefty hitters. I'm actually gonna talk about one of them today in one of the teams that I think is gonna see one of the biggest bumps because of the shift. So I'm excited for the shift. I'm excited for the bigger bases. I'm excited for I'm excited for all the changes that I think are gonna end up being beneficial to the game. So I'm on board.
Yeah,
for it.
there's a lot, and we have self-proclaimed that baseball's been back for a while, but now it's officially back. We're watching spring training. Games are moving fast, and you know what else is moving fast, Yayo?
I know.
Manny Machado's contract negotiations moved really fast.
I thought you were going to the back. And talking about going back, Machado, what a great transition, John.
Machado signed. So Machado came out a couple days ago, right? Pretty much the beginning of spring training, and said, yeah, I'm opting out, guys. The market has changed. And ask and you shall receive, I guess. He asked for 400 million. He got 350 million, which combined with what he's been paid out already, I believe it's $470 million. He basically got a 15-year, $470 million contract. No real holdup, right? I mean, he didn't get his 400, but he kind of did. What do you think?
I thought it was ballsy from him to come out and say that. I said that last episode, that the fact that he made these negotiations, I guess, public, it wasn't a negotiation. It was him saying like his future plans, even before knowing what was going to happen, right? Like he didn't know if he would get hurt, if he was going to have another big year. Obviously, he's been very consistent throughout his he's been consistent throughout his entire career. I understand that, but the fact that he said that before, I don't know. I thought it was weird, but it worked out, right? I guess it worked out, but it could have been like, would you have been mad if the team was like, you know what? I'm not signing you to this extension just because of what you did. You could see it kind of like, no, I'm not doing this.
100%. Like things were going great in San Diego. Tatis is back. He hasn't done anything stupid yet. I know it's still early, but things are going terrific. Like they are the envy of a lot of teams, World Series aspirations. And he just comes out at the beginning of spring training and says, "Yeah, I'm a pretty big piece of this franchise, and unless you guys give me 400 million, I'm out of here." It could have been a big distraction, like really big. Now he did take a lot less than what he asked for, which obviously negotiating 101, right? He was probably good with 350, but it happened so quickly. I mean, there was no like,
it was
we're
2
going to
days.
negotiate. Yeah, there was no, we'll negotiate throughout spring training. It's like they watched him give that interview and they were like, write him the check.
Yeah, so I
send
think
it to him.
what that tells me is that they were already negotiating. They were already talking about it. There were reports that they were like $115 million apart. So the
Right.
fact that he said this, the conversations were ongoing already. He saw how Bogarts got an extension all the way through his 41-year-old season. So he's like, hey, my deal is until 38. Eggs are more expensive. He literally said that eggs are more expensive, which okay.
He can
Pretty
buy
sure
a
he's
lot of
never
them now.
been. He hasn't been to the grocery store in the last 8 years to buy eggs. But anyways, he used that analogy, like the market change and all that. So I guess it was kind of like the last tipping point of him just pushing that franchise, putting the pressure, shifting the pressure of the franchise or to the franchise. And it worked out for him. Good for him. Good for San Diego. I don't know what this means, if they're going to be able to sign and bring back Juan Soto. They signed a big contract, obviously, for Bogarts. They got you Darvish. Tatis, another big contract as well. Do they still have money to bring in Juan Soto?
Well, the thing is, Machado, and I guess two things. I think he got what he wanted because he was right. That is the truth. Like, we were kind of surprised that he came out and said it, but the truth is he was right. He could opt out and go get a really big contract this offseason.
Yeah.
Now, whether they still have money, I mean, my goodness, I don't know. But he was under a big contract already. This isn't like, I mean, they're definitely paying him more yearly now, but it's not like they went from zero to, hey, here's $350 million.
My thing is they're gonna have Tatis over 10 years, 300 million.
No, I don't know.
Bogarts, 10 years, 300 million. Machado, 10 years, 300 million. Can they have a fourth player for 10 years
I don't
like
know.
that?
I can't wrap my head around it. It feels like the money isn't real, right? I mean, that's over $1 billion in 4 or 5 players.
Small market team, by the way. San Diego's a small market team. They had never won a World Series. They are a small market team, even though they're in California.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean they are.
No,
when you look at,
and they're not the biggest team in California.
no, they're probably. I mean, I don't know. Maybe 8 years ago they were the smallest one. If you think the A's were over them as well, like, yeah, I don't know. So that just tells me all this small market. Like all you need is an owner that is willing to spend. Maybe Uncle Steve for your Mets changed the game, and owners are like, you know what? Let's spend. At the end of the day, I'm gonna make money back anyway. So good for them.
Well, and as far as, it's hard to say low risk, right, with that much money, but these are proven guys.
Yeah.
That they've, I mean, Tatis has, been in and out, but as far as Machado and Bogarts, and if they go with Soto, I don't feel like, aside from staying healthy, that you're taking a gamble on someone who had, one good year. So at least in that regard, you're saying they're locked in, until they opt out again. I don't know what all the opt-outs are, but, they are smart in a sense of those are really good players. You don't really have to worry too much about them.
The Machado has no opt-out, so he's there for life. But it's more of a risk, I guess, when they're in that 37, 38, 39-year-old stage where you're paying them $30, $35 million a year. They're probably not going to be producing at the same rate that they're producing now. But at the same time, that's the only way you can get them, right? You have to pay them now. This is when they're valuable. Yes. Again, we talked about this. You're paying for the
money
years.
Will be less at that point.
The eggs will be more expensive. Yep, eggs will be more expensive by the year 2035. So
that's going to be our metric now for every free agent contract. Everything is, what's the price of eggs?
Thank you, Manny Machado, for changing that.
Good for the Padres and really good for Manny Machado.
Yeah. So let's switch over to the AL West and let's do some previews. We're going to be talking about over-unders, what Vegas have them at projected wins for each team. Just a small little preview for each team, what our thoughts, and at the end, we're going to tell you if we think they're going to go over or under the wins. We're gonna keep track of all this, and at the end, we're gonna come back, and I'm gonna show you that I probably have a better record than John in this over under.
Disagree.
Let's go ahead and start with the Houston Astros because they were the best team in the AL West, so might as well start at the top. Their over under is at 97.5, 97 and a half wins. John, are the Houston Astros going over under this number?
I think they're going over. And that's a really high number. Like, I'm very hesitant to say someone's going to be a 100-win team, but they had 106, last year. And I don't see, they did lose Verlander, but I don't see them, slipping, nearly 10 games down, between 2 years. Now, it's a lofty goal, but I got to go over. The division, we were talking about it, it's not really all that bad, but I think they are the very top tier, and they will be able to beat up on some of the teams. And there is a really bad team in the division as well. They're an interesting team in the sense that as good as they are, you do still, like I said, have to replace Verlander, which is not easy. And they've got some guys. They've got Framber. They've got, who's the young guy?
Javier.
Is it Christian?
Christian Javier,
Yeah.
yep.
So what, both of those guys can be real number ones, but they still have to go out and do it. And so replacing him is not a small task. Now, they did seamlessly, like we say, they did it again. They went ahead and they got Abreu, right, to fit in at first base from the White Sox, who in that lineup with that protection, he's going to see pitches to hit, and he's going to keep doing what he does every year. I mean, he's been one of the best first basemen in the league now for a while, somewhat quietly, I guess, but everyone does know how good he's been. So I've got them over 97. I don't think they win 106 again. But same old Astros, same really good Astros in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm going over as well. Astros, like you mentioned, they won 106. I don't think they are 10 games worse than what they were last year, right? Yeah. Framber was a workhorse. He pitched over 200 innings last year. They signed Christian Javier for a reason. He's going to be the Framber now. Framber is going to be the Verlander, right? So my expectation is that Christian Javier is going to be another workhorse as well. Hunter Brown, we know that they're very high on Hunter Brown. Young arm, they love him. He's going to be their number 5. They still got Luis Garcia and Jose Urquidy, who they pitched basically about 150 innings last year. So maybe one of them or both of them get a little bit bumped. Their bullpen is absolutely stacked. We saw that in the postseason.
Yes.
They got some of the best arms. At some point, Ryan Presley is going to get old, but they still got Rafael Montero. They still got our pick for our baseballs intended bullpen, Brian Abreu. So they got some arms there. The lineup might be the deepest in baseball. When you look at, Fangraphs have Jeremy Pena projected to be the 7th hitter in this lineup, and he was literally the ALCS and World Series MVP. So
that's horrifying, right? If you're an opposing pitcher, that's horrifying.
It's ridiculous. So obviously you have we have universal DH, and they have Martin Maldonado, which is almost like a pitcher. He's almost an automatic out, but defensively and how he guides that rotation, that's where his value comes from. And maybe he's a big part on why these arms are so good as well, because we never can figure out why Houston is so good. But I feel like this year, I expect them to win 102, 103, somewhere on there. So I'm definitely going over as well. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. They are the same old Astros. Like you said, they've got the pieces to replace Verlander. It is a little bit of a question mark because you can never assume that that's someone. And Maldonado, I'm glad you brought him up. I think some people thought maybe they would try and upgrade it, the catcher position, but they haven't really had to. They've got some prospects in the pipeline at catcher. It looks like they're just going to, basically bridge the gap, hold on to him, don't really fix what's broken. They're going over. They're going to dominate the division.
They can 100% do it too, right? Like their lineup is so deep that they can take we'll take our defensive catcher there. Not worry about. They had Christian Vasquez last year. Obviously, he was able to give Maldonado some days off here and there. He was the catcher for the no-hitter in the World Series. But I don't expect them to have any issues. That lineup is better than last year, right? So, they brought it back Michael Brantley as well. A lot of people might be sleeping on a professional hitter. He fits in Houston. Great additions all around.
You can't pitch around anyone there except Maldonado, or, you could pitch to Maldonado. But again, even he's going to get on base, 20% of the time. So
About 25, but it's still good. We probably both have the Houston Astros as winning the AL West, but we'll get to that at a later episode. Because right now, let's talk about the Seattle Mariners. And the over-under for the Seattle Mariners is at 86.5 games. They won 90 games last year. They made some moves, some changes. They signed some guys for to an extension. Seattle Mariner, John, over-under 86.5 wins.
Man, they were such a good feel-good story last year. They had Julio Rodriguez, who was just lights out. I mean, he was exciting. Center field. I mean, I don't want to get crazy, but it reminded you of the last time Seattle had a really good center fielder. No, it was exciting. It was fun times in Seattle. They had a
100%.
magical year. I think the team goes, obviously, as he goes. He has to kind of follow up this campaign. I really like their infield. They've got J.P. Crawford. They got, Suarez at third base. They got, did they get Wong?
Colton Wong, yep. Colton Wong is going to be their second baseman.
Yeah, and Ty France at first. I think they take a step back, though, to be honest with you. Not a big step back. I mean, the over-under, we got them at 86.5. I think, aside from the Astros, I think everyone else there is a little bit below that 86 mark, kind of feeding off each other. I go under on them. I think they have a little bit of a comeback to earth year. They're still going to be set up very well, in my opinion, for the future. It's not saying that their players are going to stink or anything like that. But I think, teams figure stuff out. They had a little bit of magical run. I think they're in the hunt for the playoffs, and they don't quite make it, and they fall below that 86. So I go under.
I think Seattle was one of the toughest ones for me in this division because I feel like everything went right for them last year and they won 90, right? So the expectation or the number is 80.5 or 86.5 and they won 90. So it's very close. I don't know. I flip a coin and it landed on tails. I'm going over. I think Julio Rodriguez is a real deal. I think he can carry that team. The rotation is very good. Another year for Luis Castillo, obviously now doesn't have to deal with the contract negotiations on that. They signed him to a long-term deal, so he knows where home is. They got Logan Gilbert another year coming off a good year. That's very good. Robbie Ray, Kirby, they got some good arms. Obviously, they were all healthy, it feels like, last year. They didn't deal with a lot of injuries. But they did brought Teoscar Hernandez from the Blue Jays. I love the fact that they're trying to get better offensively. They did lose, obviously, a bullpen arm for that. But the lineup might be a little bit deeper. I think one of the key players is going to be Jared Kelenic, which is one of their young guys. And he was one of their big prospects. And every time he got called up, he would struggle. And he might be, some people are calling him kind of like the 4A player, right? Like he's too good for AAA, but just not good enough for the major leagues. And he has to come out and play. And if he does, I think definitely that will go over the 86.5, but that's going to be the key. I like the lineup. It's nothing that, no Houston Astros lineup, right? There's only one Houston Astros lineup.
Right, what is?
Yeah, but I like that. I like that T.O. Addition there. Their bullpen, Andres Munoz was a stud last year. You get him another year back, probably feels a little bit more comfortable as well. So I'll go over, but it's going to be very close.
It's not an easy one, right? It's not. Because like you said I called it magical, but you kind of hit the nail on the head. Everything went right for them.
Yeah.
So if they hit 90 again, which I know the over-under is less than that, but that'd be, terrific for them. Now you're establishing a really good winning culture over there. But they're going to be a fun team to watch. I am excited, or not excited, intrigued, I would say, to see what happens with Jared Kelenic, because he came from the Edwin Diaz trade. He was a big-time prospect.
Yeah.
And, right now you look at it, they would love to have Edwin Diaz, right? A lot of teams would. But if he can go ahead and, fulfill his potential, he's another big part. But it would become a really good young outfield for them.
Yeah, and you know what? We talked about spring training games earlier. He went deep twice today. Like, obviously, it's still spring training. You're probably facing some AAA pitchers, but you love to see that, right? Maybe something clicked, and I think Seattle being good is good for baseball. That the fans are special. It's loud, even in a 0-0 game in inning 16th. You know that safe
A little
goal.
Blue
You know,
Jays vibe, right? A little
yeah,
Toronto vibe. Yeah,
yeah.
good fans when it's a fun place.
Yeah, so I think it'll be good. I think they're going to be battling some of the other teams in their own division, but I'll
Yeah.
end up going with the over. Up next, we got let's talk about the Texas Rangers, and their over under
Talk
is at
about 'em.
81 and a half. And they had some key additions. They won 68 games last year. Texas Rangers over under. Are they finally going to go over 81 and a half?
So it's a good sign for them in general that their over under is over 10 games, higher than their actual win total from last year. If you're a fan, you like that. I mean, you don't win anything on paper, but it's like, hey, we made some moves. They did a lot to the starting rotation, obviously starting with DeGrom. As much as we talk about the injuries and all that, you got to set it aside for a little bit and look kind of best case scenario. One of the best pitchers in baseball. They got Evaldi, they got Andrew Haney. Their rotation, Odorizzi, is actually pretty solid if it can be headed up by DeGrom, right? And it's hard to put so much stock in one pitcher, but they feel like guaranteed wins a lot of the time when he starts. So I think he does decide whether they hit that over under. He got healthy last year. He didn't look all that great towards the end of the season, but I imagine if he truly is healthy over the offseason with what they did to the rotation, I think they take some of those wins that I didn't want to give Seattle, and they hit the over, but not by very much. I think there's a lot of teams
Wow.
right in that 80 range, but I think they do. I think if that rotation, I like it a lot as far as just keeping them in games, and that's kind of what a 500 team has to do, and I think they can squeak right past that.
So I think again, and I mentioned it earlier how this division is very tough to predict, and there's a reason. If a team is at 81 and a half over under, it just tells you that it's basically a coin flip.
Yeah.
So nothing's for sure. Obviously, I think a lot falls on Jacob deGrom. The fact that they won 68 games last year, I know that they signed some pieces and whatnot. I don't know if they're really 13 games better than last year, right? Their bullpen is not that much better. They haven't really done much there. Offensively, they added what? Robbie Grossman? Like it's not much, right?
No, you're right.
So
You're right.
my thing, I think Corey Seager is a dark horse in the MVP race. The fact that he's not going to have the shift. I think he's going to be one of the players that are going to be benefited the most in the major leagues because of the shifts. He hit 245. He still hit for a lot of power and whatnot, but that 245 can turn into 275 easily, and he can be a
30 points.
Well, for Seager,
points?
for Corey Seager,
right.
yes, I can
I
see
love it.
So Marcus Semien took a little bit for him to get comfortable there. Maybe he is, and he doesn't start so slow like he did last year. But I have to go under. I think talking about we were talking about Seattle earlier and how everything went right. I think a lot of things still went right for them. Like Nathaniel Lowe had a career year, right? Maybe this is the real Nathaniel Lowe, and then he's that good. Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, they still had solid years, even though Semien started like a little bit slow. But they just don't have much more after that. Adolis Garcia, that's a 1 through 4, but they're banking on Josh Young. That's kind of like their prospect who they're expecting him to take a big step. And if he does, that's definitely going to help. But again, it's still the DeGrom. And if DeGrom is hurt, there's no way they hit this. Like literally no way. So
no. They're at 68 again. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm going under for the Texas Rangers. It was tough. I see them at like 77, 78. So it was close. But again, if DeGrom is DeGrom again, they can definitely go over, and they're in the playoffs. I don't know.
No, you're making good points, and this is baseball every year. And I think when you look at the over-unders, we realize it. With Seattle, we said everything went right. People stayed healthy. With the Rangers, everything has to go right. People have to stay healthy. And it is the story of every single year. I mean, 1 or 2 bad injuries, and these numbers look stupid, at the end of the year. But yeah, we'll see what we got.
Yeah, so I think that that is going to be interesting. Texas is going to be one of the most interesting teams out there. So I'll end up going under, but good luck to the Rangers.
You're not sounding very convinced on too many.
And
We were
none of
very
these picks.
convinced on the Astros, and then we've been like,
Yeah.
maybe not.
Yeah, the Astros was an easy one. It felt like an easy
No,
one.
I'm convinced. I'm convinced on all my picks.
Now, are you convinced about the Angels? The Angels over under number is 81.5. They won 73 last year. They had Ohtani was an MVP a couple years back. He finished second this past year. Obviously, there were some injuries to Trout. Rendon was hurt again. Angels over under 81.5.
This is the same thing. This is a big jump, right, from where they were last year. You're expected to find a lot of wins above replacement, as you would say, from the year before. I think they do have it, to be honest with you. I expected them to be better last year, to be honest with you. They have two of the best players in the world, and one of those is a two-way player in Ohtani, which it's so corny, but it almost makes it three, right? They have three terrific players. They went and got Hunter Renfroe. They got Brandon Drury. That lengthens the lineup quite a bit. I do see them going over this, and maybe, to me, this, I don't want to say significantly over. No, I'm not going to get carried away.
Oh, I thought you were gonna. I thought you were gonna say that P word and that they were gonna make the playoffs.
Playoffs. I see them. To me, it's an easy over. I don't know why. I think it's an easy over. How long can you hold Anthony Rendon down? That's another thing. It's an injury issue, right? But I just don't see them having as much bad luck as I feel that they've had, just overall. I feel like they should be better, and I think this year they will be. Now, the interesting thing to me with the Angels is if I'm wrong and they're not doing anything, do they hang on to Ohtani?
Yeah, and that's gonna be the key. Obviously, they're gonna probably try to extend him now. I don't know why they haven't extended him yet. Maybe he wants to hit free agency. Maybe he doesn't. I want the Angels to be so good, and I really do. I love Mike Trout. He's one of my favorite players because I love greatness.
Just say they will be.
But I gotta go under. I just haven't seen it, right? And I think key, same with the other teams, is health, right? Mike Trout was hurt. Obviously, he missed 20 plus games. They're talking about how his injury is kind of like, hey, he's going to have to play through this for his entire career. So does that mean he's going to miss another 20, 30, 40 games? I think he ended up missing like 40-something games last year. So that's a big thing, big question mark there. Ohtani has put up probably the most impressive back-to-back seasons we've ever seen in the history of baseball. And they still won 73 games last year. So he's only one player. Even though he's two players, he's still only one player. Bullpen-wise, well, yeah, he's one. So bullpen-wise, I don't think they are that much better. They added Tyler Anderson thinking like, hey, you know, he's going to be an amazing Cy Young candidate. He was a Cy Young candidate for the Dodgers, not for you. I love the Drury edition, Hunter Renfroe edition. I just don't know about Rendon. And if Rendon is healthy, they're going over. I think they're going over because he's that big of a piece. Like, he's that good of a player that can carry an entire franchise. We saw it with the Nationals in 19, how they won the title, and he was a big part of it, right? So a lot of it falls on health, with same thing with a lot of the teams. But I'm going under just because I haven't seen it. And I don't think they've been that close recently. I feel like they're always like up and down. And we always get excited for the Angels at the beginning of the year, and then they start playing and they start losing, and they're like, yep, here they go again. We might never see Mike Trout in October.
Yeah, no, and I guess I'm looking at it optimistically because, like I said, I can't see them continuing this kind of stretch of bad luck where we do think maybe this is their year, not necessarily huge aspirations, but this is where they turn the corner. But you're right. If Rendon is healthy and Trout manages to stay healthy, that's not a bad first six of your lineup. You know, you can piecemeal everything out together. Now, obviously, you need pitching, and they're not necessarily great in that area. But I think they sneak by it. I think they sneak by that 81. But I'm very interested to see what the number has to be around June to see. Because I don't think they re-sign Ohtani, to be completely honest. And it's to your point. If they haven't done it yet, I don't know. And I mean, you know, we're not privy to that. There's a lot of things that can change. But if they haven't done it yet, I don't know if they will.
And if they haven't signed Ohtani yet, that means that if they start 25 and 38, they may look into trading him. You have to get something back for him, right? He's too good of a player. So you may try to look and trade him midway through the
Oh
year. I
no,
don't know.
that's what I mean. I'm saying
Yep.
around June 1st, I want to see if they're keeping him or if this is. I mean, this will be bigger than the Juan Soto sweepstakes I
Yeah.
think that we had because even a team that has no chance at re-signing him, if you're in the hunt for the playoffs,
You go after
and
him.
maybe you weren't supposed to be there, you go all out because you're getting a pitcher and you're getting a hitter. It's going to be. I almost wish I'd taken the under so I could see the sweepstakes, but unfortunately, they will be very good this year, and Otani will be a big part of that.
And that's the thing. If they end up trading Otani, which is still hard to see or envision because the package that they would need to get, it would be insane. But it probably, to my point, I think that would make it easier to go under the 81.5, right? Trading Otani, I don't think is going to help you. You're not a better team if you trade Otani, is what I'm trying to say. So, Angels,
That's a hot take.
good luck. I hope you guys go over. I want to see Mike Trout play in October. Since we haven't seen it in so long, Rendon hasn't been healthy. I got to take the under. Moving over.
Agreed on everything except for the Astros so far.
Yeah.
One of us is going to look really smart and one of us is going to look really stupid.
Well, a lot of these are coin flip, like we said.
These
like,
are tough ones.
These are very
these are
tough.
ones.
Honestly, like if it goes, if you're 100% right and I'm 100% wrong, at this, we go back to what, February, late February? It's like, what, at that time, it makes sense. So, Oakland A's, over under, 59.5. We know probably about 3 players on this team. They won 60 games last year, so they went over last year. Are they better last year, or are they better this year than last year, Oakland A's?
Well, I'll be honest, you didn't even need to tell me the number. I was going under.
Well,
and I know they made a big splash with Aledmys Diaz this year. Man, it's
tough.
It's tough.
For them. It's tough to be an
tough.
Oakland A fan.
And to be honest with you, I watch a lot of Oakland A's baseball.
Me too.
Friend of the program, Ramon. I mean, we're on the East Coast. I've spent a lot of nights watching Oakland. They, were good a couple years ago. Like, they had a fun team, and it's been dismantled. And I don't see it getting any better because I think they know that they're out of Oakland, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think they're going to end up, MLB said they're looking hard at Las Vegas. I don't know if anything's changed, but that's, what I've been seeing. And I think they know they've got nothing really to do over there, but I don't even know what their plans are to get better in the future. Like, if you're going to stink, you could stink without Aledmys Diaz, You don't need him to do what you're going to do. But yeah, I think they're actually, pretty historically bad. And 59, I know it's a low number, but I can see them being right around 54, 55. And I hate it because proud organization, like watching them, but I just don't see them doing anything. Yeah, tell me I'm wrong.
You're not wrong. We're gonna agree on this one as well. So the second one that we agree on, I'm taking the under on the A's. I feel terrible for Ramon Laureano, obviously friend of the podcast. We love Ramon. That's the reason why we watch a lot of Oakland A's baseball. But it just feels like they're not even trying. I mean, they're not trying to get better or be good. If you tell me that they're trying to get worse, I'll believe it. That's the only thing that would make sense.
Oh, they're crushing it. They're crushing it if that's the goal. Yeah.
Looking at their lineup and players, and I love baseball, and I've been watching baseball all my life. I don't know half of the guys. Honestly, when
it was the WBC, we looked at the roster. I knew more guys on the Korea roster, I think.
Well, that's okay. You're just okay.
Am I exaggerating?
You're exaggerating a little bit. You're exaggerating, but
it's a really tough major league roster to field day in and day out. Aside from a couple guys,
it's gonna be a very long season in Oakland, and we know they're gonna be in Oakland, whether they end up moving later or not. We hear about how their stadium is the worst in baseball and all this stuff.
Yep.
Now that you put a bad product on the field, it doesn't help the fan experience. I would expect the fans to just not show up after the first month or two, as kind of and I wouldn't blame them. Honestly. It's not a product you want to go watch.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a really good team and they're telling you, hey, your team's going to be taken from you, You're like, no, we're coming out, we're supporting, but there's not really that draw. And I mean, don't get me wrong, if you're a diehard Oakland A's fan, you're gonna be sad that they leave no matter what. I mean, that stinks. I'm not even an Oakland A's, diehard fan, and I kind of hate it. It's just you've known them as that forever. But yeah, I mean, I'd be curious, like you said, to see really what their plan is. Are they just content, with kind of stinking for a little while, and are we going to see them, reloading, regroup at some point? But right now, the path is not very clear for them.
Oh, it's clear. Oh, it's
Well,
clear. It's
yeah,
clear that it's going down.
yeah,
I
it's
do
going under
expect
59 is where it's going.
Hey, it could be under 50 and I wouldn't be shocked. It's that bad of a
Oh
team,
boy.
but that might be too much. But again, it sucks. It sucks to see. It's gonna be tough to watch, but you know what? There's always a team or two like that where the good teams. These are the games where the good teams. You look at the schedule, you're like, well, we gotta sweep that team. This is gonna put us back on the right track. This is gonna get us a couple wins. We're
Yes.
81 and a half, right? We're the Rangers, 81 and a half over under. Let's go take a 4-game series out in Oakland. And so the other teams are gonna have those kind of like must-win games, or not must-win games, but like against teams
No,
that
but
you
if
must
you
win.
want to have a successful season, you got to play 700 baseball, against the ace when you play them, basically.
Yeah. So sorry, Oakland. I expect the long season, and
My heart
yeah.
bleeds for them. It bleeds.
Yeah. So last thing for the AL West standings, I guess we can agree that first place is gonna be Houston based on our over-unders. Last place is gonna be Oakland. What's gonna happen in between Houston and Oakland?
Let's fill in the blanks.
Second place, I got Mariners. Finishing second place for the AL West, I got Mariners. I think they're gonna be, again, they made the playoff via the wild card last year. They won 90 games. I think they're gonna be in the hunt again for the wild card. I would not be shocked if at the trade line they go and get another piece, either via arm or via bat. They're in it, right? They're investing. So I like that. So I'm going second place, Seattle. Who you got finishing second? Because you did pick under for Seattle and over for Angels. Does that mean Angels finish second in your standings?
I have the Angels second. I do have the Angels second.
Okay.
Now, not by a lot. I think those three teams there, truthfully, are like
Flip-flop.
they're bunched in. Yeah, like I could see there being not much separation till the very end of the year there. Now, obviously, it could go the other way. But yeah, I've got the Angels second. I've got the Mariners third.
Yeah, and then
Rangers fourth. Yeah, but those top two are tough. I mean, I've got the Rangers in my mind solidly fourth. But again, still in that group. But if to me, the only real battle in there that I'm not sure if I'm going to get right. Well, I may get a lot of these wrong, but the real discussion in my mind, and probably for you, I think, is Angels or Mariners for second.
I think I actually have Texas
Or you have
finishing
the
third.
Rangers?
Yeah, I have Rangers finishing third. I like that they invested a lot in the rotation, which was a weak part of their team. The Angels didn't really do much pitching wise other than Tyler Anderson. So I got Astros, I got Mariners, I got Rangers, Angels, and A's. I picked the under for the Angels for a reason, and I gotta have them at fourth. Now, if they win 85, if they win 85 games, I would not be shocked. But they might win 75, and I would not be shocked either. So I just like the Rangers where they're at a little bit more than the Angels.
So do you think 89, 90 wins gets you second place in this division? It does, right?
Yeah, because
Okay.
you have to think that Houston is going to win 100 plus, right?
Yeah.
And then I don't think any of them are going to win 95, 96. So they're probably going to be more between that 85 to 90 range. Last year was Seattle with 90 wins. So I can see something like that. I just don't think the Angels are going to win, are a 90 win ball club. And I don't think the Rangers are either. So that's where I'm at. But
no, 100%. So I'm with you. I actually think second place is going to be lower. I think second place is going to be
closer to 85,
86. Yeah, 85, 86, and that's why it's
all,
all speculation, but that's my guess.
All
that's
three teams can win 80 plus games and under 85 as well. So, it's crazy how I feel like it's very close. The Mariners, Rangers, and Angels, I think it's very close. So, we'll see what happens.
Who do you want to be wrong about?
I want to be wrong about the Angels the most. I want them to be good. I really want them
Yeah.
to be good.
Yeah. I want to be wrong about Oakland.
You want them to win more than 59?
Yeah, I do. I want them to win over 60. I want them to be respectable. To be
I don't think they deserve me wanting them to be better. They're not
they
giving
don't
me
deserve
anything.
your support.
They don't
They
deserve.
haven't done anything.
What have they done? What have they
The
done?
good
Nothing.
people of Oakland.
It's
The
not
good
their
people
fault.
of Oakland.
It's not their
I
fault.
root for them.
I mean, I
I
want
want to be
Ramon
wrong, but I'm pretty confident that I'm not wrong.
I want Ramon to be good and successful, and it just
Yes.
sucks the position that he's in.
We
But
should actually change them. Yeah, they are the Oakland Ramones in our view.
they are.
Yeah.
That will do it for the AL West preview. Next week, we're going to have the NL West preview, which we know is going to be a two-team battle for first place. We would imagine. I don't know. You never know. You sometimes have these giants come out of nowhere. But, John, walk us off. Anything looking forward to it? We're what? Less than a week, about a week and a half from the World Baseball Classic. It's almost that time.
Do I have to say it again?
No, we don't have to.
I'm excited for the WBC.
Spring training is here.
I'm excited. I'm excited for the W. It feels like spring training has ramped up quickly this year. It kind of feels like that every year, but maybe it is because of the WBC.
Yeah, you see
But I'm
someone.
excited for this road trip we're taking too, West Coast to East Coast. All the previews, all the divisions, just in time for opening day. There's a lot. I mean, spring training is great. Something comes out every day. You know?
And I think it's exciting to see some of these players, instead of getting one or two at bats, they're sometimes getting three because they're in the World Baseball Classic, so they're going to be playing. So that's why I think you see a little bit more reps. Guessing they're going to be reporting to their teams in the next week, obviously this week. So excited for the WBC. Again, thank you so much for listening or watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel on YouTube, make sure you do. If you haven't followed on any social platform, Apple, Spotify as well, make sure to follow, rate it, the whole thing. You guys know what to do. And that will do it for episode 5. We will see you next week with the NL West preview. And until next time.
Until next time.